Hey dudes, what's up? I realized that in my last video I never said, hey dudes, what's up? And it was really weird because I had filmed it, edited it, uploaded it, and only realized after it was uploaded and I was driving somewhere thinking about it. I was like, oh my gosh, I never said my intro. So I'll say it twice to make up for it. Hey dudes, what's up? So a while back I posted a video on the rake, like kind of all about the whole origin and story of the rake. And at the end of it, I mentioned that I wanted to talk about Slender Man, but I didn't know if you guys would be interested. And a lot of you guys actually commented that you were interested and did want to hear about Slender Man, or that he's your favorite creepypasta creature, so you love hearing about him type thing. So that's what we're doing today. Today's video is going to be all about Slender Man. So on June 10th in 2009, Slender Man was officially born. During that period of time, there was a Photoshop contest on the Something Awful internet forum, and it was a contest where users were challenged to create new paranormal beings. Eric Knudsen is the creator of Slender Man, and he originally posted these two images of a tall, slender-like creature in a suit standing behind a bunch of kids at a playground or in an open field. The images themselves were very haunting, as something is kind of luring children in or just kind of creepily staring back at a bunch of children. What set him apart from other posters was that he used text along with his images, which majority of the entries for this contest only used pictures. He also used the little snippets of text to kind of explain what was going on and kind of give his character more backstory. Underneath the first picture, which I'll show right here, he wrote, "We didn't want to go. We didn't want to kill them. But its persistent silence and outstretched arms horrified and comforted us at the same time. 1983, photographer unknown, presumed dead." And then the second picture, which I will also put up on the screen right now, one of two recovered photographs from the Sterling City Library blaze, notable for being taken the day which 14 children vanished, and for what is referred to as the Slender Man. Deformities cited as film defects by officials. Fire at library occurred 1 week later. Actual photograph confiscated as evidence. 1986, photographer Mary Thomas, missing since June 13th, 1986. A YouTube channel called Marble Hornets was formed literally 10 days after the birth of Slender Man. And now, if you haven't seen this series, I have talked about it on my channel before, but I haven't gone into too much depth about it. It is basically a series that revolves around a character, a filmmaker named Alex, and while he is filming his project called Marble Hornets, things start happening. He starts having experiences of technology glitches while he's filming. Very big distortions are happening on his film, and then he starts to see this man who is just kind of always where he is. He doesn't have a face, he's always just standing there. I believe the first time he sees him is outside of his house, and it's very soon after that where this man starts popping up everywhere in Alex's films, to the point of where Alex doesn't feel safe without his camera, so he is always filming. He becomes very paranoid about this guy always following him. I mean, if somebody was at my house, I'd be pretty paranoid too. Marble Hornets is basically the main reason that all these different aspects behind Slender Man were introduced to the community. He is the reason why the pages were a big thing, the audio glitches, all those kinds of like little aspects of Slender Man and his lore came about with Marble Hornets, which I think is actually really cool. The more deeper it goes, the more that the story kind of unravels itself. It is very, very good and very well done. I highly recommend watching it if you haven't seen it already. I will leave the link to the entire channel down below. Again, it's called Marble Hornets. Soon, many different pictures of Slender Man started popping up all over the internet. Usually in these pictures, he is far back in a wooded area, and you can kind of see him if you look. Sometimes he has a red circle surrounding him so you can distinguish him from the trees. Other times he is standing behind children. And then about 3 years after the birth of Slender Man came a new game that stormed the internet and everybody was playing it. So the game was called Slender the 8 Pages. And in this game you are presumably a child walking around a heavily wooded area, only with a flashlight, looking for 8 notebook pages. And like I mentioned earlier, these pages are of these Slender Man drawings that presumably somebody who has already seen the Slender Man had drawn, but while you are out looking for these pages at night, something's following you, and that something is Slender Man. It gets harder and harder the more you go on through the game. Before you get the first page, you don't see the Slender Man. I don't think he's even aware that you're there at this time. You get the first page, he's still not around you. Second page is when it starts to get a little bit more difficult. Third and fourth, you see him quite a bit, but he's got a distance from you. Fifth and sixth, very difficult. He's usually only a few feet behind you. And then seventh, and especially before the eighth, if you turn, he is right behind you. So it gets progressively more difficult as you go on. Hi, I totally forgot to mention something. So Slender the Eight Pages was actually heavily based on Marble Hornets. There are about 10 different locations in the Eight Pages game, and almost all of them correlate to a location that was in Marble Hornets. For example, the red silo as well as the tunnel. This is a very important aspect, and I can't believe I left it out, so I just wanted to include it really quick. And then shortly after the popularity of Slender the Eight Pages, another game started called Slender Man's Shadow. This one was similar to the Eight Pages. You were still walking around looking for the pages that are left behind, but there were different levels to this. So Slender Man's Shadow was like the overall game, and then there were levels inside of it. There was Sanatorium, Hospice, Elementary. You were doing the same thing in the game, it's just a different setting. So it made it more challenging as like you didn't know the setting as compared to the other game. But yeah, this kind of skyrocketed Slender Man even more. I remember Markiplier playing this, I think PewDiePie played it, I think Jacksepticeye played it. Like a bunch of the big gamers, YouTube gamers started playing this. A little bit less than a year after Slender the Eight Pages and Slender Man's Shadow came out, a new game called Slender the Arrival was made. Unlike the Eight Pages and Slender Man's Shadow, this game came to other platforms. It was on Xbox, I think it was on PlayStation, it's on Steam, and this game focused on more of a story. Instead of just finding 8 pages, it was more about the lore and taking you on this journey of you looking for your missing friend. And you kind of just go on these adventures, you find Slender Man, you get attacked. He has a proxy in the game, which that level is so scary, by the way. I have played this game I think like 2 or 3 times. I played it back my freshman year of college, which is when I found out about it, so that would have been about like 2014. And then I recently played it last year on my Twitch channel, and it still creeped me out just as much as it did the first time. Oh my god. In August of 2018, a Slender Man movie was released. It focuses on these 4 friends who try to conjure up the Slender Man, and quickly one of them goes missing and the other girls kind of start to go a little bit crazy. They start seeing him. The movie didn't do so well. I did see it. I feel like it wasn't so much scary as it was just loud in places. That being said, there is a movie if you want to see it. I think it's out on Amazon and a bunch of different streaming websites. So the story now is that Slender Man usually targets children. Children are his main target. Nobody really knows what he does with his victims once he gets them. They all go missing, but it's unclear if he kills them, eats them, turns them into proxies. A lot of stories about Slender Man usually have him stalking his victims a while before he actually takes them or does whatever he does with his victims. And it's kind of known all over the internet that once you see the Slender Man, you see him all over the place. And it kind of triggers this state of paranoia for everybody. You start worrying where he is, kind of becoming sick. You start drawing these like really creepy pictures, usually a circle with an X through it, which is the operator symbol. People also refer to Slender Man as the operator. It's also widely known that Slender Man distorts any kind of technology when he is in a close proximity to you. He's very well known pretty much by everybody. Everybody pretty much knows who Slender Man is, knows his lore. Pictures and stories, like Reddit stories, pop up all the time relating to Slender Man. My thoughts on Slender Man, he scares me so much, but at the same time, he interests me so much, and it's been like that ever since I found out about him. I'm so creeped out, but I can't stop reading. And it's funny because I didn't mention this in my sleep paralysis video. For those of you guys who haven't seen my sleep paralysis video, I heard like my air cleaner in my room kind of went distorted. And when I was laying in bed, my first thought went to, oh my god, it's Slender Man! Just because he has that distorted audio and like technology thing, although that isn't technology. Well, I guess it is. It just, my brain went there. It's kind of funny that that happened. Could you imagine though if like I would have not been able to move and it walked around the bed and it would have been Slender Man? Like, I probably would have been scarred for life if that was the case, honestly. Marble Hornets is really good. If you guys haven't seen Marble Hornets, please, please, please go watch it. It's so good. There are a couple episodes of that series that still really freak me out. I mentioned it in one of my other videos with the one of him coming into the bedroom. And then there's another one that, I don't know what freaks me out so much. I don't know what episode it is. I want to say it's 11. I think it's 11. They're filming in a forest. The camera's getting all distorted, the audio's getting all distorted. They say like cut and it pans to Slender Man kind of standing off in the distance, kind of like this. They're like, can somebody get off set? And then like the last thing you hear, I have chills because I hate it so much. The last thing you hear before it cuts off is, what's he doing? That line just scares me. Okay, so that is all the information on Slender Man, kind of like where he came from. Down below, tell me your thoughts on Slender Man. Do you like him? Do you hate him? Does he scare you? Does he not? Also, if you guys want to give me recommendations on other creatures like this that I should cover next, please let me know. So I'm gonna go. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys and I'll see you guys next time. Bye everybody.